So good morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here, each and every one of you. What a beautiful day. My goodness. So, Natalie and I get questions about what Unity believes about this, or what's our take on this subject or that subject, and we get a lot of criticism for believing sometimes, not from us people, but from people that we talk to. And one of the hottest topics that we get challenged on is reincarnation. And we firmly believe in reincarnation. We believe that we have preceded this lifetime with another lifetime. And one of the hot topics today in today's news is abortion. And we got a lot of challenges on that. What does Unity believe in abortion? Well, it's not a quick answer. It's not a quick answer. So today I thought we would discuss some of the reasons behind these beliefs that we have. And it's not mandatory that you accept the process of reincarnation to come to Unity. There's nothing mandatory. You don't have to believe anything. But Unity headquarters, and Unity is a movement, don't take a firm stand on anything like this. We believe in freedom. We believe in free choice. We believe in free will for anybody, no matter what the thing is. But there's the idea that I heard recently on the radio. I like to go through my radio while I'm driving. I like to listen to what these other preachers have to say about different things. I just want to get a temperature of what's going on. So a recent conversation, somebody called in and said, I can't believe these people that don't believe that abortion's a sin. My God, you know, a little baby comes in the world and he's ready to live a life, childhood, grow up, and then you just cut him off and you just kill that whole thing. That baby could have been president one day. My goodness. And you just kill that baby and you don't think anything of it? For those people who are pro-choice? Well, I hear that person's words, and I feel for that person. I mean, they're really believing what they believe. And if I thought that there was no recourse after having an abortion, I might feel the same way, but I don't. So I want to play just a little short video on this idea, and then we'll come back to this subject.
Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm, and in this video in the Life Explained series I would like to talk about reincarnation. What is reincarnation? The word carne, of course, means flesh, and incarnation is the process of the soul or spirit entering a physical human body. And reincarnation means the repeated return of that soul or spirit into a human body. Let's take a closer look at it. We are by nature spiritual beings, also called souls. Our true realm of existence is, of course, spirit. So why would some of us want to incarnate, meaning enter the physical body here on earth? Now the reasons are manifold. Some come here to observe, some come here to assist other souls, some come to explore, some come to simply enjoy physicality. But the vast majority of us come here because we are bound to the cycle of reincarnation. Which means we still have unfinished business here on earth. Reincarnation gives us the opportunity to complete and heal anything that has not been resolved or completed in a previous lifetime. As souls, we intuitively know what we still have to clear up. Any hurt, any pain, any loss that has not been atoned for or forgiven will call us back into another life. Nobody's forcing us to go, but we know that we cannot spiritually advance until we have healed everything down here. We therefore have a deep desire to make amends or experience the effects that others once suffered from our thoughts, words, actions, which is called karma. Therefore, out of our own free will, we choose to reincarnate once again. By the way, more on what happens before we incarnate is on my video, Life Before Birth. Now, the souls with whom we often have the most of our karma are the members of our future family here on earth. They also have come here for the same reason, to heal and overcome past karmas with each other and with us. Therefore, they are usually of similar vibration than we are. And this is important because we know that our soul can be only attracted to parents of similar vibrations. We may have been in this particular family many times before, but in different constellations and maybe in different sects. It can be that we have been the mother or father of our future parents in a previous lifetime. And together, as a family, we have created causes that now change us together as karma. And now we have the chance and reincarnate again and loosen these chains and undo this karma, which will result in mutual freedom. What happens here in this family applies to all other people who we meet in our life, at work, in clubs, our neighbors. We either are attracted or repelled by some of them, and that usually means that there is some karmic ties that needs to be cleared up. Now you may wonder, if this is all true, why don't we know much about karma or reincarnation? Well, there is no absolute need to know about reincarnation to have a successful life here on earth. We are all given some wonderful tools that tell us how to live our lives on earth. Most souls incarnate into cultures that have one dominant book of wisdom. That can be the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, and so on. And in all of them, they have the same basic rules of life and the golden rule that says, don't do unto others what you don't want them to do unto you. They say it in different words, but the meaning is the same. And in the Western world, we also have the Ten Commandments and the Sermon on the Mount. They are straightforward, very simple, not complicated. In a few words, we are advised not to kill, not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal, have no idols, and respect our parents and help and assist all those less fortunate than we are. But most of all, also to love and honor God, who is in everyone and everything around us. The problem is that we also know about all these basic rules of life prior our incarnation. But once we are here on this earth plane, we easily forget. We are bombarded by so many distractions and temptations that we can easily forget our ideals and the reason why we incarnated. We get lost in our ego, materialism, and selfishness. So once again, we might make new or similar mistake as in the past, and then we are even more trapped in the cycle of reincarnation. But if we live consciously by the basic rules of life, like the Golden Rule and the Ten Commandments, we can bring our soul into a higher vibration. That means when we die, our soul will then be attracted to a higher level of existence than we were before we incarnated. Eventually, we will no longer need this life and death cycle here on earth and continue our education and our growth of consciousness in the higher realms. Now, some of us may wonder why we usually don't remember any of our previous lifetimes. This is purposely hidden from us because we should live in the here and now, and exact knowledge about our former incarnations would only burden us. Think about it. We may have hundreds of former lives, and many we have done awful things. Now, this knowledge alone would overshadow our decisions in carrying out our daily tasks. Once we understand the dynamics of the law of reincarnation, everything falls into place. Suddenly everything makes sense. Why are some poor, others are rich, some healthy, others sick, why there are wars, and so on. I have always been amazed by the incredible love and perfection that rules our magnificent universe. Naturally, this was only a very short overview, and I hope you're inspired to study more on this incredible subject. Did you know that reincarnation was a fundamental part of the original Christian teachings, and that it was later banned by a Roman emperor? Come join me in part 2 of reincarnation, and I will tell you more about it. You may also enjoy the videos on karma and how karma works.
So we are indeed multidimensional beings. So what I explained to someone one time who came to Unity when I was minister in Las Cruces, when she found out that we taught reincarnation, she was just so judgmental. Oh, you people, that's Satan, that's sin, and she wanted to know about that. And someone in the congregation stood up and said, well, I believe in reincarnation because I had an abortion. She went, you had an abortion? How dare you come to church? And I said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, can I say something to you? You can either turn around and leave, or you can listen, or whatever you have to do. But you don't have to scream here. We're friends. We can talk. And she said, well, I have nothing else better to do. I might as well sit down and listen to you. That's what Natalie says. I have nothing better. No, she doesn't. So I believe that this lady, person, woman who gets pregnant, she's not doing it all by herself and waiting for this little baby to grow. That baby is communicating with her on a higher level. When we go into a deep sleep, we very often go into another higher vibration, because we're made up of frequency, vibration, energy. And energy can be slowed down like, you might want to say like a ice cube. That's slow energy. Melt it, go to water, that's higher energy. Put a fire under it, turn it to steam, it's even higher energy. So we go, depending on our state of mind or our emotions or what's going on, we vibrate at different frequencies. And at night, when we shut off the conscious mind, we're very able to go into another dimension. It doesn't mean it's up there or there, it can be right here. And along with that, well, I'll just tell you a quick example. I remember reading where Thomas Edison was a good friend of his name will come to me. Oh, Thoreau. So he said, Thoreau said to Emerson, how do you get all these ideas, all these inventions? I know you, you're not that smart. And he did. He said, I know you too well. I see the other side of it. But how do you get all these ideas? You have all this incredible stuff going in your mind, and you create these things, and you invent these things, and as a result, and Edison said, well, I wouldn't tell anybody else because they'll think I'm crazy. But at night, when I go to sleep, I find myself in another place, another dimension. And they told me that these are scientists that used to live on Earth as human beings, and now they're in a higher dimension. And they teach me. They show me, so they don't tell me everything. They leave a lot for me to guess. But they show me that it can be done. They showed me the light bulb. And when they showed me that, they said, you'll have to figure out what makes it tick. So he said, when I come back, I know it's already can be done, so I'm enthusiastic. And I have a goal. And I work at it, and ideas come in my mind, and I pray, and I meditate, and I get more ideas, and finally, I get the answer. And then it tells me I have more work to do, and there's something else to it, on and on and on and on. And so that same thing happens to us. We may not remember that, and probably don't, but we are, again, multidimensional beings. We're not just here as human beings in the flesh. So this baby that is going to be born, or not, is vibrating at a frequency where it knows what's going on. It knows the mother's mind, and it actually meets with the soul of the mother, and they discuss. And if the mother says, I don't want to have this child, then we will go by her wishes. But we also want to show the great possibilities that if she had this baby, or if not. But if the mother decides to abort the baby will simply say, well, I'm not going to live this life in this particular mother. I'll either wait and come back in another time, if and when the mother gets pregnant again, or I'll go to another mother. But nobody dies, you see. Nobody dies from this. Because you can't die. No one dies. So you go on and on and on in various life forms. So what I would tell people, let me jump here. In the 70s, I was in law enforcement. And I spent a lot of the time as a juvenile officer. And I wrote down some of the things, the cases that I've investigated and made arrests on. Incest, rape, child abuse, pedophiles, crib death. And I got an early education on this. I didn't believe anything like I believe now. So I didn't think of the idea that these are souls that are coming in and they're acting in such a way that they're going to create the karma that they do. So one case, I remember, this lady was pregnant and she was going to have an abortion. And her husband beat her up, really beat her up savagely. And so we talked with him, arrested him, brought him in, and he says, well, she's going to have this baby, and I don't want the baby. I can't afford the baby, and on and on and on. And I said, well, if this baby's born, you know, how do you think that baby's going to react to you? I don't know, I hate the baby. I don't want anything to do with the baby. And the woman said, I knew I should have gotten an abortion. I don't want this baby either. So when his trial came up, she had pressed charges against him. She didn't want to, but we said, yeah, you need to press charges against him. And I didn't see her. It came time for her to show up, I didn't see her. And so he worried about what he was going to do, because he was out on bond. He said, well, yeah, I kept an eye on him, and she said, I used a coat hanger. She was in the hospital, and she said, I got to get rid of this baby. And I don't know what happened after that. The doctors came out and said, we'll take care of it. But she dropped charges against him, and he went off free. And that started me on this thing about thinking, my God, what is going on? Why would people act like that? Other things, people would, a young lady, 11, 12 years old, would get pregnant from either her father or someone else. And you know, some people said, oh, well, she shouldn't get an abortion because it's so-and-so. And my thoughts back then were, well, I'm glad she did. Who would want to have imagine what that woman would think of that baby. Imagine the heavy trip that baby would have, of being hated and not wanted and what have you. And so I feel that way today. So if the baby is going to be aborted, again, no one dies. And I know that's easy to say, but it's something to really consider if you know somebody in that situation. And again, unity is free choice, whatever you want to, but whatever is between you and the God of your understanding, the higher power of your understanding. So I just want to get that out, because we get questioned about that. And we believe, what unity believes is free choice. And the mother comes first. And again, we have to support these people and love them and not have judgment against them. So I want to show you one more little part on this.
Hi, I am Hans Wilhelm. This is the second video in the Life Explained series on the topic of reincarnation. In my first video, I explained how reincarnation works. And in this video, I would like to explore with you why this teaching of reincarnation is no longer taught in our churches or religious institutions. Did you know that more than 50% of people in this world believe in reincarnation? Yes, even here in America. Our founding fathers, Franklin, Jefferson, Washington, all shared an enthusiasm for reincarnation. And so did at least a dozen of our presidents, if not more. well as also the captains of industry like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Paul Getty, and many others. What many people do not know is that the knowledge of the re-embodiment of the soul was also known to the early Christians. It's mentioned in the Bible several times. In Matthew and Mark, we find passages of how Jesus asks the question, "Who do the people say that I am?" And his disciples tell him that people think he is John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, or one of the great prophets who has come back as Jesus. And in Matthew, Jesus actually explains twice to some of his disciples that John the Baptist has been the prophet Elijah in a previous lifetime. Why would Jesus teach reincarnations to his disciples? Jesus was a Jew, and so were all his disciples. And for many Jews at the time, reincarnation was a fact of life. It was mentioned in the ancient mystical text of the Kabbalah that teaches the soul cycle, also called the Gilgal Neshamot. Even today we have several Jewish denominations that believe in reincarnation, like the Hasidics, the Shabbatniks, and other Orthodox Jewish groups. We know from the writings of the old church fathers like Origen that the knowledge of reincarnation was widespread in Christianity in the first few centuries. But why is this important component of Christ's teaching no longer mentioned in our churches of today? What happened? To find the answer to this question, we have to go back to the 6th century, to the Eastern Roman Empire. You see here the Mediterranean, Italy, you see Greece, Turkey, and the Middle East. Now, the Eastern Roman Empire at the time was ruled by a very powerful emperor called Justinian I. He thought himself as the supreme ruler of the church and the Pope, and even made it a law that nothing could be done in the church contrary to the emperor's will and command. He was a real despot, and to deal with the general war situation in the Eastern Roman Empire and the threatening danger of a domestic political religious war in what is today the Palestine area, he commanded that everybody accepted his style of Orthodox faith, which included the removal of the teachings of reincarnation. He wanted everybody to believe in one single lifetime, and that the priests, or better the church, are the mediators for the salvation of the people. Think about it. You could only go to heaven via the church. It was a powerful tool to control the people. So it was in the year 543 in Constantinople, which of course today is Istanbul, that the teachings of reincarnation was going to be banned because of pressure by Emperor Justinian I. It happened during the Synod of the Eastern Church, a gathering of bishops. But Pope Vigilius knew it was against Christ's teachings, and he strongly opposed the emperor and refused to sign this ban. But nobody can contradict an emperor for long. So 10 years later, on the morning of December 8th, 553, under severe pressure by the emperor, the Pope finally relented and made it a law at the General Council in Constantinople. It wasn't even discussed at the council. No, but this caused a big problem for the church. They no longer could explain the basic questions of life. Where do we come from? Why are we here? And where do we go? So they had to invent totally new dogmas to fill the gap of reincarnation. For instance, they came up with things like the original sin, the creation of the soul at the time of conception, mortal sin, the judgment day, purgatory, and eternal damnation. None of this was taught by Jesus. But Justinian I didn't care. After all, he was the ruler of the church and the Pope, and he made the rules. Unfortunately, all Christian denominations that later split off from the Catholic Church, like the Protestants, the Baptist, Anglican Church, and 1,000 others, never bothered correcting this fundamental flaw. But the knowledge of reincarnation was never forgotten. It was always taught in the educated and secret societies, and it is now reaching a new revival in the Western world. Today there are more and more Christians who know about this law and are once again willing to live according to the original teachings of Christ. Now I hope you're inspired to explore more on the subject. And maybe you want to watch related videos like the one on the law of karma and how karma works.
So the question of when does life begin, well, everything's alive. There's nothing that's not alive. The ray stones are alive, vibrating frequency, energy again. But when is the baby soul viable? Breath. We die with breath and we are born with breath. So as this baby is growing, the baby that's going to be born is growing, it, again, in duet with the mother in an unconscious way, the baby is working out what's going to happen, where he's going to go, and all this stuff. And then the mother will either agree with that or not agree with that. But once the baby's born, the baby, you can take a baby that's just born and keep the umbilical cord and put that baby underwater, and that baby will survive. Well, once you take the baby out of water and he starts breathing and crying, then you can't put him back in the water. So the baby is hooked into the soul. The soul is hooked into the body. It comes and visits the body, goes in, but then it's hooked into the body once the breath is taken. So the first breath, that soul jumps into that body to stay. So that's what I believe, and it doesn't matter if you want to believe that or not. I'm always open. That's my belief, and I have prayed about it and meditated on it enough to say, well, that's the way I believe. And what's good about unity is you don't have to believe anything. You don't have to believe in anything. You can be an atheist. I started out with it as an agnostic, not believing. I knew there was a central God. I knew there was a higher power, but I didn't think that higher power knew me individually. That's where I was many decades ago. And I've since learned that the higher power is us. We are a higher power. God is us. Everything is God. Nothing is separate from God. God is everything. Every molecule, every cell, every subatomic particle, every atom is alive. Not conscious necessarily, but it's alive. And we are part of that whole process. So again, you are God. Not the allness of God, but you are a significant, you're like the wave in the ocean. The ocean would be God. You are a wave within that ocean. And what's important, the more we believe that, Jesus said, and all his healings, do you believe? So we can say all the affirmations and denials and prayer and everything, but we have to come to a belief. Do we believe in this really? And it's hard sometimes because it's how do you believe in something that you can't see or hear or taste? Well, ask your higher self. You have the Christ, Paul said, Christ in you, the hope of glory. So pray to that idea of a higher power, not some God out there in the sky, but ask that, help me to believe, help me to understand. My prayers is that I want to understand you. I want to know you more. I want to feel you. I want to feel you working in and through me as me. I want to feel this. And when I do my meditations, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting better and better. And I pray that you too will understand that you are a powerful spiritual being. And your thoughts are the most important thing. How you think, how you feel, what your emotions are. And emotions attached to a belief system will bring about whatever you want. We are co-creators, and we create our destiny, we create our lives with our thoughts and our feelings. So I hope this gives you a little bit of understand where unity is, and probably you're all there already. And if not, I encourage you to take a deeper look at that, of the cycle of life. God bless.
Let's prepare for a time of meditation. You take a nice deep breath if that's comfortable for you. As we once again turn our attention within, away from the outer, experience as we open to answers, as we become more and more willing to expand our awareness, to expand our consciousness, and to not close anything out, but just to allow. And to find within our own answers from our own understanding, from our own connection with our higher selves. But what a joy it is that we do have the freedoms today that we did not have at one time. The freedom to believe as we will, the freedom to act as we will, and the freedom to experience the consequences of our will. And so now is a good time. Today is a good day to look over our life and to ask if there's anything undone, to allow this to be a healing opportunity, this experience of being incarnated, and all of the relationships, knowing that we have come and gone, that we have known each other forever, in eternity. Eternity is now. So let us breathe and release, release, release. Anything that does not vibe with where we are, in our heart, our mind, as we also continually open and allow new experiences and the expansion of our consciousness. And for our freedom, we are grateful. And for our openness, we are grateful. And for the awareness of our divine selves, the instant access to that higher wisdom, that higher knowledge of our divine selves, we are grateful. And so as we go forward into this day and into this week, we walk with a greater sense of our own sovereignty, of our ability to continue to grow and to learn and to evolve and to expand in all ways. And so it is.